Hi guys, I've been wanting to give a small talk in English to all my people, to all my friends who understand only English and not my regional language Tamil. So here I go, a very traditional girl who was born and brought up in a different way, but after marriage her entire life changed. So I grew up amongst the fields, playing with dragonflies, playing with kites, flying kites, playing with marbles, and only amongst a group of boy friends who ran crazy in the fields and everything. I loved reading books. I love reading books. I didn't know the way to the kitchen at all. My mom was not a very patient person in teaching. She just wanted her things done like this. And then all of us sat together for dinner or lunch and the whole work is done. So I never learnt anything. I never learnt anything of housekeeping. I was a tomboy. I really loved my life and I never wanted it to stop ever. And then suddenly I got excited with my marriage. I got married to the guy I really liked, and here I am 50 years later, completely changed, a metamorphosis, if you tell me. So it's only after marriage that I learned so many things about our culture, our traditional lifestyle, our food habits. It is a huge change that I made in my life. I had to learn if I have to be good, if I have to know things. I just cannot sit reading books all the time and then, sitting in front of the computer. I've got to do other things too. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and well, I've got to go on in life, right? So when I started writing my books, I started to really analyze the kind of lifestyle we lead in a Hindu home. It was very different. It was extremely different. We had so many habits that I did not think initially, but I just did it self-consciously. Like, for example, the way we greeted somebody. The Indian form of greeting is folding your hands. And they say this is so good scientifically because every tip of every finger are energy points. They act differently. So when you greet somebody, you greet them with respect. This is just like you stand in front of God and you pray to Him. Either you do this and pray or you do this and pray. But you're doing that all the time when you're greeting somebody who's come home. That's a way of welcoming instead of, shaking hands or hugging or kissing or something. It's just doing the Namaste. The Namaste is a form of greeting cordially a person who enters a home. That is a Hindu way of doing things. So you keep away. So you see, all these things already help because you have to keep social distancing, right? These days they're suddenly talking about, how you're not supposed to hug, you're supposed to keep social distancing. We always did that. And I remember we used to come from behind the house and it enters the back door, the service veranda, and then into the kitchen. We had to use that doorway because there was a tap outside there where the garden was, the backyard. We had to remove our shoes, wash our hands, our legs, and then enter home. We had to be clean before we entered home. Nothing of the outside dirt will enter home. So we use slippers inside the house and we never wore outside slippers inside the home because we carry the dirt from outside. So my grandmother was so specific, and naturally my mother carried that habit too with her. And everything was very different then. Everything was so different. And I even realized we light the lamps every day, morning and evening, in our prayer room where we have the images of all the gods. We light the lamps, and this is supposed to signify something wonderful. It is like dispelling darkness and bringing out light. That is dispelling darkness and bringing out knowledge. knowledge is God. You bring out more godliness in you, especially if you light a lamp with oil in it and a cotton wick, and then you light it and you sit in front of it, you close your eyes. You're supposed to get a lot of peace. It gets into you, and you become very meditative. You become very peaceful. It has a lot of qualities than if you would light a candle, because this has a lot of meditative qualities. And why we light our lamps morning and evening. Sometimes in some homes, they light it throughout the day and night, and that is known as Akhanda Deepam. That is a light that is lit continuously, and that also helps. And our national flower is lotus. You know, it is so sacred, the lotus flower. It grows in a mushy, dirty, sandy water. Unbelievable. It closes in the night and it opens up in the sun and it blooms. And if you notice, there is no wetness in it when you pluck it out. Whereas if you drop a jasmine or a coral jasmine or something in the water, it just gets wet and it gets totally spoiled. You have to throw it away. But this one remains dry, and it is used for all sacred occasions. It is used for, it stays for about 2 days. It doesn't get dry or spoiled. And when it opens up, it opens its bud. They describe a lotus-eyed person, a beautiful lotus-eyed person. And goddess Lakshmi is portrayed, the goddess Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth. She's portrayed as sitting cross-legged on a lotus. And she's supposed to be ever blossoming on the lotus when she's so grateful to us, giving us the wealth that we need. So she brings a lot of wealth to us. So the lotus denotes a lot of things. A lotus-cheeked person, a lotus-eyed person. So lotus is a very sacred flower in the Hindu philosophy. And it is a national flower. Just imagine. And then you have the peacock as the national bird. It is so beautiful. Have you seen a more beautiful bird than a peacock? Especially when it spreads its wings up and it dances. That signifies that rain is going to come. It always dances before the rains come. And that is our national bird. And it's such a beautiful bird. I love all these things about our religion, about Hinduism. And according to Hinduism is a way of life, just as yoga is a way of life. We practice so many things unconsciously. We never take anything from somebody with our left hand. We always take anything with our right hand. Right hand, that is the right way of doing things. And so many habits in our everyday life is so interesting if you start analyzing it. Like, for example, we do a circumambulation. We go around the temple clockwise, around the outside of the temple clockwise, circumambulation, which is supposed to denote that you do a circle. The circle always has a center point. So you're actually going around the universe when you go around the temple. And that is how clockwise, that is how the sun travels, that is how every planet travels around the universe. Everything has a significance. It has a scientific explanation to it. I won't go deeply into everything. I just want to make it as interesting, as simple as possible. And we do respect to either the elders in the house, to your grandfather, to your uncle, old granduncle, or before God, you prostrate yourself on your knees or full level as men do, and we do on our knees with our hands down like this. It is like showing extreme respect and worship to an elderly or to God. This is very important whenever we go or enter a temple or inside our worship place in our homes. All of us have the worship place in our homes, a sanctum sanctorium, a puja room as we call, where we light the lamps and then we prostrate before God before we sit down and start chanting our prayers. So this is a form of respect that we do, and doing that multiple times is like doing the Surya Namaskaram. That is supposed to be very, very good for us, extremely good for us. So this is known as the Namaskaram, that we bow down, we fall on our knees, and then we raise our hands in this position and then put our head down, our forehead and our nose is touching the ground, and then we rise up. And then these are all habits that we have, which we do every day after we light the lamp, before we start praying to God. These are all very Hindu, in whatever we do. And then we sit down cross-legged and start chanting our prayers. You can sit in a low stool or you can sit down cross-legged on the ground. The Padmasana, the lotus pose, you can sit down. And even those days, now of course we sit on the table. In a lot of villages, they sit in the ground and then they use the plantain leaf to eat their food. They have the plantain trees in the backyard. They pluck a plantain leaf and they sprinkle some water and clean it up with their hands, sit down, serve food in that, and then you sit cross-legged on the ground and then you eat. Nowadays, when you go to weddings, a Hindu wedding, a South Indian Hindu wedding, in the mornings, you don't have plates. You have these banana leaves, but it's kept on the table, of course. And then you have different courses and they serve you. These chefs serve you your food. You don't have a buffet. I mean, most weddings now started having buffets, but that is not an attractive part of our marriage at all. You like to be served what you want. And these leaves, these banana leaves, are very environmental friendly. You just use them and you throw it away in a ditch or something. And then that you cover it up, the sand covers it, and then it grows back again. I mean, like, you don't have any washing to do. You don't pollute the air. The environment is friendly and everything is good. Every part of the banana leaf we use. We use the banana flour, we use the bananas, the raw bananas, we use the banana stem to make different stir fries, gravies, and we make some fantastic dishes with it. It is a normal routine in a South Indian home, to use every part of the banana tree. We use even the leaf as a plate, That is what I'm trying to say. We're so different. I mean, we still follow those traditional habits and they are so endearing. They're so attractive. I mean, anybody coming, and then our food is finger-licking food. We don't use spoons and knives and all. They're very British. I mean, we don't use those British habits. You need to feel the texture of the rasam and rice, that broth that we make with tomatoes and spices. You need to feel the texture of the rice when you eat. Of course, there might be some grains that fall to the ground, but then in time you become adept how to handle your food with your fingers and eat it well. And then you slurp it. You take it in your hand and you slurp it. It's so delicious to be eating that way than to be using a spoon, which is so formal and so not warm when you enjoy your food. That's my opinion. I don't like to, be judgmental on anybody else, how they eat their food. But this is typical South Indian way of eating our food. We have a 3-course meal. We have a sambar or a vegetable gravy, which we mix with the main course, rice and with a dollop of ghee, and with side dishes of green vegetables or some spicy vegetable. And then you have the second course as rasam and rice with a little bit of ghee topped on it, and then mixed up and had everything with hand and fingers, of course. And then you have the yogurt and rice with any kind of pickle to be had. We have some fantastic South Indian pickles, like the lime pickle, the mango pickle, the raw mango pickle, like the sarsaparilla root pickle, and like the baby mango pickle, which has very little oil or no oil at all, and extremely healthy also. And we use all that as pickles for our yogurt and rice. And we have some stir fries like parupu usali, which we add vegetables and add in that. It's a crumbled lentil with the stir-fried vegetable. One of my videos shows that also. That also can be mixed with curd rice and had. It's extremely tasty. This is soul-stirring, soul-satisfying food. That's all I can say. This is really, really tasty, and this is something that you should all learn. You know, my channel talks about this food, this kind of finger-licking food. My Kindle books, a whole lot of my Kindle books in French also, talk about our lifestyle, the way we lead our life, and how it was those days. The green vegetables that we cook our way here in this country, in the US, they have a lot of water, especially cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli and all that. So you just add a little water in a saucepan with salt, and when it comes to a boil, add these vegetables and just keep stirring them with half lid closed on a medium flame, and it gets cooked well, because otherwise it becomes too soggy when you cook in a pressure cooker or something else, to the way we cook in our country, you know, because our cauliflower or cabbage doesn't have that kind of water retention as in this country. So something like a cabbage, something like a spinach, your fresh spinach that you get in the market, your arugula or your beetroot spinach that you get, the spinach you get out of beetroot, the spinach, the beetroot leaves, or the turnip leaves or something. They need a little bit of cooking with salt. We can cook that. So your fresh spinach that you get is used as a salad in this country, so which means we cook it. So which means we cut it and then we cook it with hardly any water and salt, because it gets cooked easily. So watch out if you're cooking with a fresh spinach in this country. And we have a lot of spinach dishes which are already there in my Kindle books, and which I will be introducing in my channel. I already have introduced a lot of our recipes made the South Indian way. They're very unique. They might be common in our community because we make it at home pretty regularly, but it is not heard outside our community or outside our region or outside Tamil Nadu. You know, people would like to learn it, you know, especially people outside Tamil Nadu or people outside the country. They've not heard much about these recipes and they would love to learn it. And I made it as easy as possible for you to follow. And do look out for those recipes, watch them, subscribe to my channel, and download my Kindle books, and that'll help you a lot and make you understand what I'm talking about the lifestyle we lead in our country. Bye. Until we meet the next time.